What's going on, everybody? It's Talk About Sports Fantasy Style. It's actually Talk About Fantasy Sports is what we're going with here.
It's a fantasy.
We're having a fantasy. It's a threesome, actually.
Where's Scarlett Johansson?
In my head. I'm with Derek, who's been with me before, and my man Shawn joining us today. We're here to talk about some daily fantasy basketball. We'll mix in some other stupid nonsense because that's what we do here. But what got us started with is actually we've been, a lot of us, we do the DraftKings shit and we have a side text. And we just kind of got the idea that all the shit that we talk about in our text messages needs to be on here. So that's what we're going to attempt to do and transition this 5 Reasons Fantasy into talk about fantasy sports. So, bam.
Ooh,
baby. We're going to talk about some fantasy sports. We're going to get some new graphics going. We're going to get some new logos made, and it's going to happen. My man, we're going to talk about dugout mugs real quick. I know we talked about this before. If you're not drinking out of a dugout mug, what the hell are you doing? It's a bat. It's a beer mug made out of a baseball bat. I don't know if I told you guys about this before. Like 3,000 times. Go buy one. Talk about fantasy sports. Go buy one. So, again, we're talking about daily fantasy basketball. So it's been an up and down thing for us. Like we're junkies a little bit.
I mean it.
Right. So the regular season, the regular season all of a sudden stopped and Rudy Gobert walked off the court or off the stage or whatever he was doing. And I don't know. I didn't know what to do for a while. And then all of a sudden, I think you guys were playing like a simulated or you guys do other stuff. I'm really into the basketball shit. So I was done for a while. And then the bubble happened and then they disappeared again because of all the stuff going on. So, we're happy that we're back. That's kind of what we're going to talk about now. A couple things just to kind of give you a rundown, right? So the NBA, Spike. If you play DraftKings, McLovin.
He's screwed you over before.
He's taken your money. Yeah, Shawn and Derek have been texting me individually. So that's how this all started. They were texting me individually about this McLovin guy, and then we ended up here. We're going to talk about being loud wrong, what that means. We're chubby chasing. It's a little different than it sounds. We're talking about some horses. Who's your horse? And we have a special guest, Captain Cliche is going to join us. And then we're just going to talk about our gut feelings and how hungry people are and how much they have left in the tank.
Yeah.
And the fight they got in their eyes,
Yeah, we'll get into a lot of that here. So
I want to see some game faces.
Yeah, we got to put our game. I think I got to put my glasses on for that. I don't know. I was telling them beforehand. So if I can't see right now, it's not my fault. I wear glasses, but I decided to try and go glasses-less. So if I can't read them, I'm gonna throw them on here and there. So guess who's back again? NBA's back. Tell a friend.
Ooh,
let's go Heat.
Bars. Nice.
Don't even get me started, right? So I know Derek's a big Heat fan. Shawn, I know you're basketball-wise, I think it's fair that you're like a Heat fan by default kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe it. I'm not even much of a basketball fan, to be honest. But it's an outlet for me to lose some of my money and gamble. So why the hell not? And the Miami Heat are my home team, so I gotta support.
That's what I'm talking about.
You didn't name your kid that was just born. He's got a newborn also now. He's not like Tyler or Hero or
nope, definitely not.
Or nothing.
Nope.
Nothing crazy.
No.
Bam.
He's a Carson.
He's a Carson. Is he a Wentz?
Yeah.
What is he?
I don't know. Carson Daly, Carson Wentz. We got some Carsons.
Carson Daly is a solid one.
Yeah, man. Come on.
A super underrated guy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably pulled chicks like crazy. So
he's the original. He's the original Ryan Seacrest.
Right, we're the TRL age group. So to us, if anyone else is watching that isn't about 47 years old, check out Carson Daly on Google. You can Google him.
Yeah.
Or find him on the Twitter. So the NBA's back. It was a weird couple days, man. Like, I know we had our lineup set the other day. We were texting, kind of just giving each other shit, as we always do. And then all of a sudden this happened, and it made sense. Like, personally, I was for them not playing, at least for whatever they decided to do. But it kind of, you guys were still doing golf on DraftKings and other shit. All of a sudden I came back to the text and you all talking about golf. I'm like, fuck off my phone. But yeah, I was devastated, other than the fact that I agreed with the fact that they shouldn't be playing. But I thought, my daily fantasy was over for a while. What do you guys, on that end of it, like, what are you guys looking forward to as far as, like, now all of a sudden Russ is going to be back? I mean, what do you think is about to happen this weekend?
Honestly, I think a lot of the same, man. I think your big names are going to ball. I mean, Russ to me is kind of a smokescreen. I wouldn't take that bait, but we were talking earlier, I didn't think about it how you had said it, but eventually he's going to drop Harden's price down to where he's going to be an almost must play, which is already
right. That's the thing, and with Harden, you need him. I think it's saying Russ looks explosive and all that. And by the way, I forgot to say this part. We play a lot of DraftKings, but we don't know shit. Like, we're regular ass people, and we'll talk about that part too. We'll talk about that. But the general idea here is we're just watching fucking basketball, and we know, and we understand numbers, and we're just talking about what we see. The thing with Harden, right? So we're talking about money, price. I mean, that kind of changes everything for him in the sense of, like I was saying to you guys, I think right now he's going to continue to put up 50, 60 fantasy points, and the price he's at right now, it's not really worth it, although it's tempting as hell.
You need him to go for like 70, 80.
You need a triple-double, right? And it's possible with Russ coming back that he's kind of coming back slowly, but I see his shot attempts going down. Look, we'll go back to what we were talking about before. Zingis out now. I don't know what that means for Luka. I keep saying it. I keep expecting Luka to have that game where Kawhi just shuts him down. And I guess that, basketball-wise, maybe that's just not how it works. Although you and I play basketball there. I mean, we understand they're going to put Kawhi on the best player ultimately, but
Luka feels tired to me visually, like Jamal Murray did, but Jamal Murray was coming back from an injury, so that was my mistake in not looking at it like he's probably fresh. Luka's been getting his ass kicked the whole season because he's been the show,
Luka's also a baby, though,
Yeah, he can handle it, and his game is also very slow, right? He doesn't look like he's ever moving at any kind of speed and dominates the game, but I feel like the energy's got to, like, mentally he's got to be depleted because he doesn't have his wingman. Like, he can't go out there and score 50, 15, and 17 by himself, and they still probably will lose the game. So, I mean, what's that going to do?
Well, that was the thing. Before the playoffs started, they were talking about, like, who they would rather play if they could get up to the spot where they could play the Rockets instead of the Clippers. So kind of what I was saying, that they wouldn't have to go against Kawhi and Paul George as far as playing. And we thought he was done for the season the other day, basically, or at least I did. And then he comes out and he's still blowing up. And
dude, I was shocked that he played, man. Like, I faded him that next day. I faded him 100% and felt like such a dickhead for doing it. But dude, the way that looked, I thought there's no way he's playing. Like, and if he is, he's gonna really be a liability to the team, and he wasn't. Like,
but that's the thing is, like, look, they got guys to step up. Okay, Zingis position wise, like Maxi Kleber is in there and Boban, right? Okay, but Tim Hardaway really can play it.
Sure.
In spurts, at least he can pick it up, but
he can be like your 2.5. He's not.
That's the thing, right? So we agree. I think the Clippers are going to close that out eventually. I think,
especially the game PG had. I feel like whatever he came out and said afterwards, that he talked to somebody, like, he's there again, and forget it then.
Too much. Yep.
But we all say, I mean, look, it wasn't rocket science, and that's kind of what we say. Is like none of this is exactly rocket science. Where you look at Paul George and you know what type of player he is, and it's not like he turned into a scrub all of a sudden. Like
it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the numbers, and it was like 3 for 14, 3 for 15. I mean, it was bound to change, and in the beginning of a couple of those games, he was starting off hot. Whatever the case is, I mean, he's back. Those teams specifically, and we'll get into that other stuff too. Like, it's hard sometimes, man, because you know what Kawhi is going to do, but if Paul George starts to pick it up, Kawhi starts to do a little bit less, play more defense. We'll see what happens there. And we'll get into some of the prediction stuff after. So we're going to talk about this guy right here, right? McLovin. What do you guys call him?
Yeah, his name is David. His name is David. I've looked this guy up because
I should have put up what you sent to us, man.
I'm not physically gonna hurt him, but like I would if I ever saw him, like just flick him in the throat or something. Like he's an annoyance. His name is David Mock.
Talk about him. I'm gonna pull up what you sent to me actually.
So I think it's clever that his last name is Mock and he made it Mock Lovin. I think it's a great
name. Is that his name? Wait, his name is Mock. So I read all your stuff and I don't really pay attention, to be honest.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got to do what I got to do, man. So his last name is Mock?
He's like a little Asian dude from San Francisco that's just got a little husky as his picture, and he kicks the shit out of me.
Didn't you say he's a physicist or some shit like that?
Yeah,
that was the thing. Yeah, I can't.
Analytically gifted, if that's another way that I could put it, and it's just for that type of game that we're playing. That's what you need. I mean,
well, you need the numbers, which I think I will say I think we're onto it. It's just we don't have the bankroll to drop.
Well, right.
To fill these multi-entry tournaments, like this guy can literally run his numbers and he can play just about every possible outcome,
if he's got 4 things that fit his odds as far as lineups go, he can run out 10 of that lineup 4 times over and not care.
Yeah, was it you or was it David who sent that the tweet that you found where he dropped $100,000 on UFC?
106,000 to win like 76,000.
Yeah, like he won more money than I make in a fucking year.
Right, and he was tweeting, it's nice to win a Tesla.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude, you lost the Tesla Model 3 is what you lost that day. That's okay.
Yeah, what said he was a millionaire winner. I mean, look, obviously he's – and going back, for those of you, because we joke, like this is also sort of daily fantasy for dummies in a sense. Like we want to – reach everybody in the sense of we understand people that are like super into daily fantasy. We watch other stuff too, man. Like we're transparent about it. But this is more like, our side of it, regular Joe kind of guy. So the idea on our side, if you're not familiar and you don't play DraftKings excessively like we do, the person that we're talking about will enter these contests. There's a max 150. He'll max out at 150, but like every single contest, no matter what, it could be a 15, a 20, a 5, a $1.
Yeah, that's what I want you to get into.
I find him in the bottom contest.
Yeah, come on, man.
He's in it. Yeah, he's in a contest with $10.
Well, to be fair, and you guys made fun of me that I love him or Derek was, but I mean I aspire to be this guy because we sit around and we talk about not having the bankroll. I won like $900 that day or whatever, and I was Scrooge McDuck diving into the fucking gold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge for us.
But I'm saying
if that guy won $900 in a day, he would shoot himself.
Oh yeah, no. So real quick, and this is not even that day. This is something different. But this happened the other day, and we'll kind of switch gears in a second. But this is a McLovin person we're talking about who beat me by I think like 6 points. I can't see shit.
He beat you by 9 points, 8.5 points.
Well, what was going on, and I was sending it to you guys during the matchup, during the match on the pitch.
During the contest. It's a contest.
Yeah, it's a contest.
DraftKings. It's a contest.
It is a contest. No, I like in the fourth quarter, I was in first place, tied with a couple people at like 2,500, and I was like, look, for me, I won. I've hit a couple times, but nothing like that. I mean that. Just the idea of in the fourth quarter, I was watching TV with my wife, and I had the game on a small TV next to the big TV, And I started to put on the next episode, and I saw it was fourth quarter, and I saw where I was on my DraftKings, and I was like, we're not watching it.
Yeah, dude, that's a major sweat, bro. That's a major
I didn't
sweat.
even tell her what was going on. I just said, I'm money, DraftKings money.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell her. I just, yeah. So again, and we'll transition here, but it was Paul Millsap. I got Paul Millsap. He hasn't been doing shit all year. He's just older, and they don't use him as much. But that was the game. He got like 35 minutes, and then I became a Paul Millsap fan. Again, I don't know what happened.
Your boy.
Yeah, so
show us the tattoo.
It's on my. Anyways, I call him Paul Millsap. Yeah, so we chubby chasers, right? And what I'm getting at is kind of that. My Paul Millsap getting a chubby, chasing after the guys, the Paul Millsaps, and that's sort of part of what you end up giving me shit for. Yeah, that definitely was, and I tell you, like, I don't feel like I was chasing that Paul Millsap game because it was such a random game, but it was, like I said, I looked at the trend, I looked at the minutes. He all of a sudden was starting with Jeremy Grant, who was his backup, so it made sense that he would get more minutes in a tighter rotation. But we all do this, and I know that was kind of, you got me shit on that one, but the Jamal Murray thing, we agreed. I wasn't chasing after that. We'll get into the horse thing in a second, but yeah, I definitely chase after Paul Millsap. It happens to all of us, even though I think to some degree, like we know in football, I guess I was using that comparison where if a guy gets 3 or 4 touchdowns in a game, something stupid, like we understand that doesn't count for next week.
Yeah. Especially
if we're making trades in a full season, like whatever he did last week, bro, I get you're selling high, but I don't get it.
That's one thing that's been hard. Being a rookie at this is not chasing points, especially in football, man. Like in baseball, you can kind of chase hot bats, especially like you can chase hot
baseball,
bats.
Very different, yeah. Pitchers,
but dude, football and basketball, it's dangerous.
They're not streaky sports.
Yeah.
Okay, they can be. The difference is you're talking about like let's talk about Jeremy Clarkson. So Clarkson he's super streaky, right? He gets hot because he's a shooter.
Right.
That's the difference. You get guys like that, but ultimately, like a Paul George is a bad streak right there, right? So it can be streaky. And then I think that's the difference. I think that there are guys, and we know this, that look, we've all played sports. We are streaky. When it comes to playing out on the court outside our house or whatever, like you could go outside one day, get 10 jumpers in a row and feel like you could play in the NBA, and tomorrow airball.
Yeah.
It's like, we're an extreme version of that. But the general idea is like going back to Jamal Murray, right? So to me, like I was saying to you, I got burned on Jamal Murray last year in terms of me being you guys or you or whatever and saying, nah, this ain't real. Like, it's Jamal Murray. Who the fuck is Jamal Murray? Yeah. And I knew who he was, but I saw him do it in the playoffs last year, and that convinced me now that I'm not chasing that. Like, if I see him, and what happened was I played him in that lineup y'all just saw and almost won. It was more so that I saw the game before. He got up like 31 shots. He's playing a lot of minutes, obviously. They're down in the series. They can't afford to expand the rotation. But you're putting up 31 shots, man. Like, it's inevitable that you're going to have that big game. So that's more what it was there.
I have a pivot on him because he's an interesting example. Like, let's say for people that may be watching this that don't play all the time. So on Sunday when they play again, Jokic is usually the points guy from that team as far as fantasy goes. He's your first option, points-wise. Has that changed?
I'd say.
I think it's the series because, and I keep going at this point of it, right? So we've talked about like teams with 2 superstars or whatever the case is. Donovan Mitchell, okay, like he's shown he can be that. Gobert is not that to me. Gobert is like a little bit better version of the Whiteside to some degree. And look, Whiteside played great this year when he was starting in terms of what they needed. But that's what Rudy Gobert is. And if you look at it, Rudy Gobert is not going to be on a championship team, I don't think. But Jokic, for whatever reason, last game, obviously his shot, and we were watching, man, his shot was wet.
Yep.
So he wasn't having to go inside as much. He was hitting
threes. Three-pointer, man. If you're going to leave him standing there, he can make that.
And that's the thing, man. But ultimately, Jokic, if he's going to be shut down a little bit this series, and really we talked about this when it's tiers also. The idea when you're doing tiers is like you're putting your guy in there. Ultimately, you think, look, these guys, Luka, all these, who can get a triple-double? Who can put up that crazy 90-point game? Jokic right now, he is that guy sometimes. Right now, he's not that guy. Not against Rudy Gobert. And that's how I see it.
This series doesn't lend itself to triple-doubles for Jokic.
Well, he can't rebound the ball. That's a big, big takeaway.
He's not getting the rebounds, but also they're not, as much as you think they would, they're not running the offense through him the same way. And that's why Jamal Murray has...
They're running high pick and roll for Jamal Murray. That's what they're doing.
Just roll with the hot hand, too. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Maybe that's some of it. But ultimately, I think that's a bad matchup for Jokic. He's lost some weight, and Gobert's not a big guy, but look, he's a good defender. Has he been a defensive player of the year? I think so.
Gobert's got two defensive player of the years already.
Right. So I mean, it makes sense that he would be able to stop a guy like Jokic compared to a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns, who's out shooting 3-pointers all day. But yeah, we look, going back to the horse thing. Jamal Murray, as I was saying, like, we're riding horses to some degree. We all have our guy that we get a vibe for. We watch the game and think, oh, like this is legit, and it's not necessarily obvious, like a LeBron, or we know that's going to happen. But that's where Jamal Murray happened with me. Like I said, I found out last year, and you guys, do you guys have someone right now that you feel like you cannot? Right, exactly. Who can you not avoid right now?
What series do I want to play? So
honestly.
I mean, we could go around the horn.
I want to play Boston against Toronto because my guy is Fred VanVleet. He's been my guy for a year and a half.
He's been regular season guy too.
That's the guy I want.
His price point is always pretty fair too, because if you look at it, he's got Lowry and Siakam there, and I think honestly, so Derek likes the Toronto series last year going back, and again, different team with Kawhi, but I don't know. I just don't think with Toronto, Gasol and Ibaka, the way it's like never the same thing.
I've learned to get rid of Gasol out of my mind and only focus on Powell and Ibaka off the bench.
That will change. Yeah. Well, okay, going back to the chasing thing for a second. Norman Powell came up because I told Rooney one day, I'm like, yo, Norman Powell, and I didn't play him. Yeah. And he balled. And then I played him in the next game, and you're like, you're chasing. He didn't do shit.
So
and then the next
game,
Ibaka been like straight 40s a couple times.
Yeah. Ibaka's over $8,000, which is insane for a bench player.
That's the thing.
Because of the last game he had.
He because when he plays, he does what Dwight Howard does, except he scores the ball too. Dwight Howard doesn't score, but he does the same thing. He blocks shots, rebounds. He's in there for 25 minutes, and he completely dominates when he's in the game.
He gets more minutes. He gets more important minutes. Ultimately, Ibaka, again, it's a matchup. So that team specifically, like, they really do, and it makes sense. They go based on matchup. They're interchangeable, man. But I guess for me in that series, I'm going to go not Toronto. I'm a Tatum guy, man. And I know it's the obvious answer. But right now with Gordon Hayward out, look, Jaylen Brown's amazing. I think he's only going to get better.
I love Kemba.
Kemba, you love Kemba. I'm waiting for Marcus Smart to blow up. And I think that's one of the guys that I'm going to get stuck on, keep putting him in my lineup, thinking that that's going to be the day, and I want to guess before everyone else is on.
I hate him solely from the point that I know that he's going to mess with my Fred VanVleet because that's who he's going to cover. And he's so good on defense. It's such a problem.
In general, man, I mean, I think that series is going to be less. Look, they got a lot of offensive weapons, but Brad Stevens, he's going to be a very smart coach. I think that they're just going to play. It's like the Heat. I was just saying about the last series that it was. Well, to me, like the Heat Pacers was like two Floyd Mayweathers going at each other. It was more of a sit back and wait for you to throw the first punch type of thing. this is going to be similar, where you're looking at the Portland Lakers, and those are not the same. So,
without Boston ever having won a championship with any of these players or Brad Stevens, they still have championship pedigree. So, like, those two teams going at it are like, I think they're the second and third best teams in the league, honestly. I think Toronto.
I picked Boston to go to the finals. I mean, I've said it a couple times on 5 Reasons, but I mean, I have them beating Milwaukee.
They shouldn't, honestly. I mean,
I just don't. Look, Giannis is clearly the best player. I just don't think that they're a better team. And I think it's a bad matchup.
They would lose to either one of those teams in 6,
Yeah.
I think.
Do we think? All right, so we're Heat fans. What's going to happen against Milwaukee? And everyone watching this, all 3 million people that watch this, they might hate us. But what's the outcome?
I'm going 6 or 7 games, but I think that it's going to be 2-2 after 4 games.
So you think it'll be even going, and you think it'll just be...
And then somebody's going to figure out game 5 and then maybe game 6, and that's it, kind of thing. I think we could
less optimistic.
Yeah.
Back to your 4-2.
Giannis is my horse. Like, I every showdown, I make lineups with him as captain. That's where I start. Like, and then I start getting a little bit more weird after that. But like, Giannis he's been my horse. So
well, he's like we were saying, he's one of those guys. You put him in the captain spot.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's got to hit, but he's likely to hit.
Yeah, his floor is it's just crazy. Like
the difference is, and look, I'm not gonna sit here and go Homer style and say the Heat are gonna win the series. You got a lot of people now. Oh, don't be surprised if the Heat gets to the finals and it's not that shocking in the sense of. The reason partially is that they played them well in the regular season, and Bam kind of shut them down a little bit. Alf, Alf from 954 from 5 Reasons, he was saying he's like, don't be surprised when you see Jay Crowder on him. So I think we're going to see the Heat and Spoelstra do a lot of different things because if you look at that team, obviously you've seen Toronto last year. And then granted Kawhi, but you stop him from getting to the rim. And Middleton's got to beat you.
Yeah, he's honestly more important than Giannis. I think those secondary guys like Bledsoe and Middleton are going to be the difference in the series. And same for the Heat. The secondary guys behind Butler and Goran, they're going to have to, like, Hero is going to have to play out of his mind.
So that's the question right there, right? And to me, I think, and they've talked about this, but you brought up Hero. To me, I've been saying, people are talking about they don't have the offensive go-to guy at the end of a game, even though Jimmy he's hit a lot of big shots at the end of games. And to me, separate from Jimmy and the obvious stuff, Tyler is that guy, man. He has shown, look, that Philly game early in the season when he hit that step back, like instead of going for the 2, he stepped back and said, fuck you, I'm winning this game.
He has that moxie about him. He definitely does.
So the thing is, like, I think that they need to give him the ball. I think this is his time to show, and even though he's just a rookie, I think the difference is with the time off and then being in that environment specifically, whereas the AAU environment, he's just fresh off of that experience to some degree where he was in college, 1 year, 2 years?
Yeah, this is his comfort zone. He's probably like
one year. Yeah.
Just turned 20 years old in January.
And that's the thing. So to me, I think that, like, we talk about the bubble being an advantage or a disadvantage for people. Like, we could get into location and all this stuff, but the idea of who's going to benefit the most, I think it's going to be the younger guys who would crumble under pressure on the road.
But there's no fans there.
There's fans. It's just they're not there.
Yeah.
They're there. They're not there. Actually, I signed up to try and be one of those fans. If I get selected, everyone will know. I'll wear a taco costume or something like that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm tacoing about.
Tacoing about?
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, Rooney, you're a Milwaukee guy. Wait a second. I just realized we got an infiltrator.
You did. I thought that immediately.
Not even like that's the thing. Like, I'm not much of a basketball fan per se. That's why, like, I don't.
He's a Packers fan. He's
yeah. You want your Packers, but I'm your guy.
Are you a Brewers fan too?
I am.
Okay, so you and Jenner. I know 2 Brewers fans.
I am a Brewer fan.
Jenner is a fake Brewers fan.
Yeah,
he got that from his mom's side, but he became a Marlins fan long ago and gave up his fandom.
Yeah, I'm definitely not necessarily a Bucks fan, but one little take I had on that series though is with everything that's happened, especially that it happened in Wisconsin, Giannis being the defensive player of the year, being a young spokesman for the game now, like I kind of feel like Miami's running into a buzzsaw with that. Like
there's a little extra juice there.
I do. I kind of feel like there's going to be a little extra. Like the narrative is there for Milwaukee to do some shit.
You know what I was surprised about? Not to like go from serious to not, but like I saw a video posted, I think, by the Heat account and look, I get it, they're young guys, Heat players in the locker room after they won the last game against Indiana, talking about breaking out the brooms, and I was just like, I was kind of surprised. And again, they're young, and I don't remember who it was. I think Duncan Robinson. I don't know.
Fuck it, I like it, bro. It's the playoffs, man.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, again, they're having fun in a bubble situation and all of that, but it's because it's the Heat that you don't expect that sort of like this isn't the goal. That's it was just surprising to see them. It's almost bulletin board material. Is kind of more what I'm getting at. It's just like necessary, but. Before social media.
Milwaukee can't be mad at the Heat thinking they have a chance.
Milwaukee can't be mad at the Heat right now at all. They're too busy. Okay, so let's go in the opposite direction. I agree. I think that maybe Milwaukee has this added kind of juice now because it's a hometown thing going on. Is it possible that it takes a little bit out of them because they got their focus elsewhere and almost like we got the right team at the right time?
Well, there's 2 things, right? So the hometown thing I think plays to them, but and I think the fact that they were the team that boycotted first also gives them juice. A lot of people gave their team and their team only the notoriety for doing that. Because the rest of the games got canceled afterwards, but it was Milwaukee who walked off the court. So they grabbed a lot of energy from that happening.
Yeah, that was crazy, though, actually. Look, in hindsight, it wasn't that crazy, I guess. But the fact that the Magic technically won the game because they had gone out and warmed up, and then they said, no, we're not taking it. And obviously, it would have looked terrible in hindsight if they had taken the win there. But what a weird day that was in general. It was very reminiscent of the Jazz and Thunder, I think it was, walking off the court that night.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like
halftime, they're just like, this game's over with. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was crazy, but I don't know. We're gonna pick it back up tomorrow. I forget honestly at this point who's playing tomorrow. I gotta set some lineups. Have you guys set your lineups at all?
Oh, so that I was gonna ask you guys. These are the same teams from when they walked off. So do we just run back our lineups we had?
I was about to until Russ got involved, and I feel like Russ is going to have a Russ game maybe right off the rip.
I haven't looked at prices. I'm sure he can't be that expensive, no?
I'm not going to not have Russ, but I'm going to be very light on him, and I'm going to have him as a hedge, man. Like, if it is a game for him, I'll have one lineup, and I'll get some money back with that, but I'm still riding that hardened horse.
Are you guys still like heavy Derek especially? Are you heavy OKC guards now that Russ is back? I mean, it doesn't change anything?
That's their team, and I think that they're the better team. I want exposure to four OKC and 2 Rockets if I really could, but I'm not going to be able to.
You think OKC is going to win?
I do think they're going to win this game. I think they're a better team, so I think that they're.
Is it a blowout?
No chance. Too close.
I don't think any of the games in that series from here on out are going to be blowouts. Like,
by the way, Russ is the second most expensive person on the slate tomorrow.
I might not play him at all.
And that's the thing is like of course. Okay, so going back, Mark Lovin. Mark Lovin will have him in a captain spot.
Yeah,
because he can do that. Whereas
if you want to captain him versus any of the 3, it's Harden, Westbrook, the 3 OKC guards. If you want to captain any of them, you're saving $2,500 at the very least.
Like a no-brainer. But like you just said, David, McLovin will have multiple lineups with him at captain because he can afford to fuck that money away.
So that's the problem. Is essentially what's going to happen ultimately is that McLovin, like I said, he's going to have everybody in a captain spot.
And Russ will go 34, 16, and 12, and he'll blow everybody out because that's just.
Yeah.
He's not going to be rusty. Russ is playing
here we go. No, save the rusty talk for save it for when we're actually going to get into the funny stuff.
All right, cool.
Because we're gonna get into that. Yeah, no. So should we do that now? We'll go in loud wrong after. So Captain Cliche. Okay, no. So again, the text message stuff. It's more funny. Like we give each other shit. Derek and I, actually, we all known each other since okay. So I'm 35. I'll be 36 in September. Derek's like a year and a month.
I'll be 37 in September.
You're a year and a day older than me, or
you're gonna be 36.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be 37 September 25th.
Right. So I'm the day I am. So I'm 26. Yeah. And
so you're in the day.
Ruby, I've known you. We're in the same grade. So
yep.
Same grade. What the fuck?
Yeah. At one point, yes, we were.
I played traveling soccer with Sean.
Yeah.
And so we all go way back. I don't really know where I was going with that, but the cliche thing, man, it's some. Oh, we talk shit to each other in the text. More me and Derek.
I'm just there for entertainment.
But what happens is, so what's been going on, and this is kind of like, we were getting into like the trend talk and all this stuff. It's again like we know what we're doing. We win money playing fantasy. We are talking about fantasy because we actually sort of know what we're talking about. But we're not McLovin. We're not running numbers. We're not the guys that we watch. You're watching us if you're watching. Why are you watching us? But we watch some of the other guys that are super serious into this stuff. And that's the point, is we're not that, right? We're not super serious. We're going off of gut feelings, which we'll talk about, things like that. But we get into the cliche of, Derek was joking around saying that someone didn't look like they were hungry enough, or I forget specifically, but
yeah, I agreed with him actually, man. That was the Murray one, right?
Yeah, I thought Jamal Murray blew his load in game 4. And
he didn't have anything left in the tank. I'm pretty sure is what that was.
I thought that Donovan Mitchell looked like he stole his soul at the end of the game, and it was just like, all right, man, I gave it everything I had, and it wasn't enough. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna come out here and try, but I'm not gonna give this effort again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Like he was like, "Yo, you took my powers, bro."
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, word for word, that's exactly what he said. There's not a doubt in my mind. But the idea, and kind of going back, because it was the same day, going back to the Paul Millsap thing, like, yeah, of course, looking back, I was chasing Paul Millsap because he beat me, and that's kind of what I was joking around with you guys before we actually started recording. I said we should start recording this. Yeah, like the thing was, Paul Millsap played 35 minutes, and I did chase the game before, but it was because he got 35 minutes. He got 19 minutes the next game. Jamal Murray was the same conversation that we were having. Jamal Murray was my horse, and I was telling you guys, and I said that's my dude.
Yeah,
I just didn't see the idea that they were down. Were they down 3-1? Is that what was going on?
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah.
How many games have played? I don't even know at this point. Yeah, it's just the general idea to me. Like, I've seen him do it. That dude has a bigger tank than you think he has, and he's legit, man. Like you look at some of the other the league games going on, the series going on. The guys have been underperforming. Paul George up to a certain point. Jamal Murray, man. Like,
yeah, him and Mitchell have been at such a high level, bro. It's.
But look at the notoriety they get, the difference, and maybe because he plays in Denver, I don't know.
Yeah,
he plays in Utah.
Fun to watch. That's for sure.
No, it's because what I was telling you about picking the team when we were talking about who's the guy you pick first. Everybody thinks of Jokic when they think of Denver. That's why. That's why he doesn't get the notoriety. If you look at Utah, you think of Donovan Mitchell.
But I think, yes, and I think it's also, but again, because we had this conversation where I don't think Gobert is a superstar. I don't think he's he's like a solid number 3 defensive guy, but I get it on that team and the way they play. He's their number 2 kind of.
Yeah,
although
by defense.
Maybe I don't know, but
now I'd say I would argue Conley's probably their number 2. Honestly, I mean,
I don't think Gobert ever. Maybe he was their number 2 at some point.
It depends on what Utah needs.
Because injury,
If Utah is going to play a series against Denver where they're just trying to score more points than anybody else on the court, then Gobert's not as valuable as Jordan Clarkson or Connolly. You're 100% right. But if they're playing the Clippers and they're going to play 105 to 103, Gobert is really valuable.
Well, that's the thing is Utah up until this year, and I don't know if it's just scheme or player change or whatever. Like they were still a pretty good defensive team. I think usually I check every day like defensive numbers and points scored and given up and whatever.
Yeah, I thought both of them were good defensive teams, but
they haven't been good defensively. These have been high-scoring games. Mitchell's been going crazy. Murray's been going crazy, and they shut down Jokic. But ultimately, it's what you're saying. I think Gobert against the right team is a solid player, but ultimately, we're talking fantasy. When he has a good fantasy game, it's like you look and you're like, damn, he just balled out. I remember the other day I was sitting outside watching the game. I brought the TV outside. I'm like, damn, Gobert's balling.
Yeah,
like 35 fantasy points at the end of the game, and they blew him out. So maybe that was part of it. But
basketball's like every other sport in fantasy. When it comes down to it, it's all matchup laden. If you're not, you don't have the right matchup, you're not going to get the same points out of that person. You're just not,
But that's the thing is, and tendencies, with these series, we kind of get a good feel for early on. I feel like, assuming players don't get hurt and everything. But that's why I said it looks like they don't. I don't think they need a scheme to say, hey, we're going to go out there and try and shut Jokic down. Like
exactly.
They have Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, let him do his thing. That's what we have you for.
If Utah goes through and plays the Clippers, Donovan Mitchell's not going to be scoring 50 points against the Clippers. He's just not.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. I agree with you. I've been saying that about Luka. Like, Kawhi's going to just decide to shut him down. And then, I don't know, man. I think also, like, the idea, and granted, they had a lot of time off. There's not this load management thing going on. But at the same time, I think they're picking and choosing their spots because it's still the playoffs. And to get to the end healthy and rested to some degree, that's why I think ultimately them coming back, I think Kawhi is like, F this. He is that player who can do that. Like, let's end this now. This is bullshit. Like, we don't need to
pedal to the floor, just whoop their ass. And
I don't think Harden and Russ can do that. And I'm a big Harden guy compared to other people. I'm not a hater like a lot of people.
I hate James Harden.
Right. I just don't think that they're that team that can say, all right, we're ending this series right now. And I think that they're a better team than OKC. I don't think that's who they are.
I think OKC is a better team, but the two best players in the series play for Houston.
Team, right? That's the thing, right? Because you could look at the Portland Lakers series and say going in that looked like the better team, and that's why But I think Charles Barkley picked them to sweep them or picked them to beat them or some shit, and then happened. But
he brought the broom out after game one and said it was a sweep, and that's just gentleman. It's going to be a gentleman's sweep, is what that's going to be.
Yeah.
So we're talking about loud wrong before, just because we're talking about Jazz Denver. Again, we give each other shit, but I keep telling Derek, I hedge. I want to say I'll play both sides of this. Like I kind of stay on the fence a little bit with the way
You're more cautious than I am.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, like I'm more like, look, I really don't know shit. And I get it. You're not saying that you know it. You're just saying like, fuck it. If I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it.
I'm gonna just stick to the side and go that way.
Right, but it got to the point the other day where you're like, the Jazz are gonna beat them by double digits, and I ended up winning $10 because I said Denver would win. But that's not the point. The point is this idea of loud wrong, where it's not. Yes, you're not being loud about it. The exclamation point we joked around about, I forget what it was. About playing Saturday. Yeah, it's not the loudness of it. We're in a text message. It's just
right.
Derek is the guy who's gonna say it and he's gonna stand by it. Like literally, they were up 10 points in the first 5 minutes, and he texted me, "Just sell me that money right now." I'm like, just send me that money when you get a chance. When you're done looking at your woman, so it's the idea of loud wrong. I was laughing. We were talking about it. I was trying to compare different levels of loud wrong, and I started going this way because it made sense, right? We're talking about sports. So we'll figure this out moving forward, but we're gonna figure out levels of loud wrong, and I don't know about the Verde because that's kind of not my thing. But we're gonna go with like the hot and fire and Diablo. I think
Verde is like a fun time.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like too much of a hot, a loud wrong. But Diablo, I don't think that was like a Diablo. I think that was more like a fire. I know there's a Diablo in you coming, and that's what she said. Wait, I got something. Bang!
Yeah. Hey.
I didn't even mean to do it, man. It happened naturally, and that was the whole point of it. Yeah.
Sean's like, fuck the office.
Right. Okay. As we're having this half-an-hour conversation about Ron Swanson.
Doing loud wrong. Are we going to get into some are we going to make some fucking Diablo and fucking Salsa Verde Diablo picks right now, or like what?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're gonna go after it. Let's.
I got a fucking Diablo right now for you. A Diablo loud fucking. I have a prediction, a gut prediction.
I want to hear it.
Luka is going to get ejected from this next game.
Gut.
I like it.
A loud prediction. There's going to be some gut feeling shit, and some shit is going to go down, and Luka's getting ejected. That's my prediction.
That guy has put up with some shit in this series, right? Like,
I think he's had enough.
You got the Montrezl Harrell, "What's up, white boy?" thing to him, which he apologized for, and then you got Markieff Morris stepping all over his hurt foot. Don't get me
started on that shit.
I'll put that back up in a sec. What was that, man? So first of all,
scumbag shit is what that is.
Scumbag shit is putting it real nicely.
Defended himself, saying I'm not that guy, and da da da. And then you see all these plays that he's done in the past, and it's like,
who is that guy?
Well, it's basketball. I get shit happens, but especially like you're on. I would say you're on a team that has a chance to win a title, and it was so obvious. You're going after the one thing that he has hurt. I mean, come on. But anyways, look, we went with the gut feeling. I found this earlier. It's happened to be that we were talking about The Office too. But this is kind of what I was saying to you, Derek. I mean, ultimately, this gut feeling idea, it's false. So your gut can, and I can't read, but my glasses, right? So I'm going to try this. Your gut cannot feel anything. It is your nervous system that sends signals to your brain, which cause feeling. So this idea that there's a gut feeling that we have, and we know it's not scientifically proven that that's accurate.
No, it's not at all.
Nerves, huh?
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
You know what my gut feels when I put fire sauce on my tacos? My guts feel it.
Yes, that does. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So my colon.
Sends me to Sean's camper for a quick release.
No, man, there's no shitting allowed in here.
Oh, I forgot you have the camper outside. So tell everyone real quick.
That's where I'm at, man.
So how did this happen exactly? I forget.
All right, so like right in the middle of this pandemic, we went through a home refinance, and the guy who came over to fill the paperwork out, we just got to talking and just random shit. He said, "Oh yeah, and my family and I, we bought a camper. It's the best decision ever." And like Kim and I had been throwing the idea around a little bit, and I was like, "It's meant to be that this random guy's in our house," and he said this. So we looked at some stuff, we haggled on some prices, and like we drove over to Fort Myers and we picked up this camper. We haven't used it once camping yet because obviously the baby and all this crazy shit that's going on. A lot of the campsites are closed and stuff, but it's turned into like my home away from home and my driveway. I teach my class from here. When I get in trouble with Kim, I just come out here and I'm like, fuck everything. Just leave me alone.
This guy's educating young minds from this camper, and I love it.
This is my fifth grade classroom this year. So
right. So my man over here, Sean, he's a teacher. What grade do you teach? I don't even know.
Fifth grade.
Fifth graders, man. Okay, that's not so bad.
Getting ready to get their ass kicked in middle school. I love it.
Yeah.
Sean's sending them off their way. Get the fuck.
They got a world of hurt coming up.
That's it. You gotta let them know.
Great.
Yep. I've had, honestly, bro, like without saying those words, I've had to have conversations with like kids and their parents and conferences. Like they got to get it together or they're going to get eaten alive in middle school. Like,
That's a nice way to put it. Eaten alive is a good one.
Yeah, like, because I can't say, like, hey, your kid's, if he keeps fucking with people, is going to get his ass kicked.
He's going to get his ass kicked.
You just said it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to start cutting his underwear before he goes to school. Oh, shit, man. So we're going to get back to our stuff tomorrow. I'm surprised, honestly, that none of us, have we just all kind of left our lineups alone? I think that's kind of what happened. We just forgot about it for a couple days.
I'm sweating some golf lineups right now as we speak. That course is fucking destroying the soul of the best golfers in the world, but I'm honestly planning on playing some of the lines that we had made the other day, like, because I like those lines. I like the tiers. I think we're gonna win some money, and then this shit happened. So
yeah, I think I don't know, like you were saying with Russ coming back, I'm gonna have to adjust a little bit, but I was gonna go back to my lineups the other day and just kind of plug and play a little bit. I mean, it's hard at this point, especially the Magic series. Like, I think Vucevic,
Captain Vooch, man, Captain Vooch.
You know, you can't get away from certain guys, but ultimately that series is a shit fest. And
even though
did you see the Western Europe picture that Goran posted with all of them having lunch together?
Oh yeah. Actually, speaking of, they just made a 5 Reasons Goran shirt. So
I saw the shirt. I didn't like the shirt.
Yeah, maybe I'll get one of those one of these days on that 5 Reasons employee discount kind of thing.
That's what I'm talking for the price of one.
7 for 1.
7 for 1. I like it.
So what we're gonna start doing, we talked about doing this, for a couple days beforehand, and then everything shut down, and then we got bored as fuck, and I think that's when we decided to start doing this for real. So between the 3 of us, we're gonna start jumping on every day and kind of not gonna give lineups because it's stupid to go through a whole lineup, but we're gonna tell you who we like and don't like and the reasons why. We're just going based on watching basketball and looking at some numbers here at the end of the day.
Gut feeling.
Yeah, it's our gut.
It's our nerves telling our brain that our gut hurts.
That's it.
Yeah. So a couple of other things separate from this. 5 Reasons has fantasy on 5 right now. So what we're doing is we're sort of transitioning into talk about fantasy sports for that. You guys aren't actually in that league, but Lasner over there, he set up a 12-man league where it's like 10 of us, 5 Reasons, and there's 2 fans going to participate. So we're going to do, I think it's on September 4th, we're going to do our drafts. We're going to stream it.
Sweet.
So everyone can check that out. I think that's kind of how I want to start doing drafts, honestly. I don't know. I'm not going to go to someone's house at this point. So the idea of everyone getting together is kind of crazy, but I can invite up to 10 people on here, I think. So
yeah, that's cool. I like that.
I'm not. But yeah, come check us out on September 4th, I think, like 8 o'clock or something like that. We'll get some more information. But we're going to start doing this more. House is going to jump on with me. I've kind of talked to him on side when football starts. Rooney knows a little bit about football with the daily fantasy stuff. We'll teach him about rebounds and stuff also.
Yeah.
We'll talk about more about our text messages. I think ultimately that's where we get a lot of our content from, is these stupid conversations that we end up having, because they're the most real conversations.
Because we don't have to have them in front of the idiots that are going to watch this, So
that's right.
Yeah, we'll wait till we go live, and then all of a sudden you get usually it's just Adrian commenting because she's the only one watching. But so yeah, we're gonna. On that note, we're gonna get out of here. Like I said, the idea for us is we're gonna start branching off. Shawn does golf. Derek does golf. Derek does soccer. I don't know. They're in.
You definitely do soccer.
Yeah, that's one I haven't ever done. I've never done the soccer.
Oh my god, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
So that's part of it too, is like, because I trust you guys, I'm gonna start throwing in some of your lineups for other sports that I don't get into. I can't get into baseball right now. I'm a baseball player by heart. I can't get into baseball right now.
I hit a baseball tonight. Let's go, baby.
You hit a baseball. How far did you hit it?
Infield single, apparently.
You didn't score.
I placed in the last money spot available, but
That's all that matters, man.
That's all that matters, baby.
Yeah, so like I said, we're gonna get out of here. The whole "don't talk about it, be about it" thing. Like I said, we're gonna get this fantasy thing going a little bit more. I think you all enjoy it. This is we're going for more of a fun, regular kind of guy type of thing here. So if you're looking for some serious fantasy sports, I suggest that you look elsewhere.
Don't look at me.
That's not going to be us, but we'll give you some good insight to how to win some money. Ultimately, I think that's what's going to happen, and you can have some fun, eat some tacos while you're here. So
that's right.
Shawn, Derek, Friedman out. 5 reasons. Talk about sports. Talk about fantasy sports. Bam, bam, slam. Let's go Heat.